I think ethics is important for an organization for two primary reasons. I mean, the first is an obvious one. Missteps on either an ethical or compliance level in today's environment can be crippling to a business. So the real economic costs, which are sometimes hard to measure, can be very real, especially not just in terms of the economic costs that come immediately in the moment, but also the ongoing costs as it affects regulatory regimes, the responses of other organizations, or even governmental entities. What we've learned is that an ethical culture, one that's clear, well understood, is actually an engagement driver. Employees who feel like they work for ethical organizations, more engaged, more productive, and more collaborative with one another. I think HR plays a unique role and obviously an important role. The role will vary depending upon how the organization is structured, but they're going to need to work closely with their legal and compliance groups to make sure that they do the first thing very precisely, which is a clear, well-structured definition of the ethical guidelines of the corporation. I think those need to be then, for a second point, relevant and well communicated in the workplace. What I mean by that is they need to communicate with their employees directly, especially in ways that match the regions and locations they work in, but they also have to make their communication relevant to their work. So from that instance, they need to use a lot of examples. Employees need to understand the importance of ethical behavior to their jobs. Okay? And I think the third thing is that HR needs to make sure that ethics isn't just a training activity, that it is a communication activity that recurs often across the organization. So they need to constantly reinforce the importance of ethics, usually through the manager. They can do so through consistent communication as well across the corporation, but work with managers to embed ethical conversations, ethical communication into their day-to-day work. Ethics are important to a company's performance. Not only, as I mentioned earlier, does a lack of ethics or ethical behavior lapses result in significant impact on the business, but what people need to realize is that ethics is an important part of what makes companies effective and makes them operational. So an ethical culture will lead to better collaboration and better innovation. If we want people to really believe that ethics is an important activity, be they a manager or an employee, they need to understand that it's an important aspect of what it means to be successful at their company and how the work is actually done. So ethics is, in its simplest sense, one of the most important, if you will, glues that keeps both productive activity ongoing inside the company